What is up, men and women, boys and girls, ladies and gents? It is me, Will from Ghost Hack, and I am back with this series of how to start a dubstep track. In this episode, we are going to be adding layers. Very, very important. This is going to be noise layers, melodic layers. This is going to fill out the spectrum of the drop that we have going here, and it's overall just going to make everything mix in a lot better. So in the last few episodes, we created this. There's drums and the basses and, variations. There's also some drum loops in here and just the general layout of everything we have of the drop so far. It doesn't glue together super good, but that's what we're going to fix in this episode. So I'm just going to play for you everything we have so far. Alright, so there we go. That's what we have. It sounds pretty nice by itself, I think, especially for the small amount of time that I put into it. But I have some ideas. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is something that is very common in this dubstep, especially nowadays. But I'm going to add a brass one-shot, and I think the best place to get this would be from the Black Friday bundle, which is now called the Platinum bundle. And I'm going to just pick a nice brass shot, and I can key it in later. Alright, so this is the brass hit I chose. It is an F, but I just pitched it down with this pitch wheel, and now it's an E. And so I'm just going to put this right on the bass hit. I don't think I'm going to put it on the second bass hit, however I am going to put it on this one right here. Everything is kind of scooted to the side a little bit, as we can see, but that's just because I have this little intro up sweeping this reverse thing going into the drop, but I don't mind it. I'm just going to not pay attention to the grid. I'm just going to look at everything I already have going. So I put it right there on the two bass hits, but they are obviously very loud, so they definitely need to be turned down a lot. If we route them into 15, then their channel is already named, and now I can just turn them down. We should also route it through the side chaining, EQing to take out weird lows, a little bit of OTT, and some dimension expander. Oh yeah, and reverb, definitely. Next up, I want a down sweep, and I want to choose this one right here. Because it's very noisy, but it's still very thick and like juicy. You can hear some kind of watery action going on in there, and I think that's pretty cool. So you can just tell by the volume it's way too loud. Yeah, that's extremely loud, so we're going to turn it down, then you're going to send it a little bit out, and we're going to route it into its own channel. Alright, so it's not easy to hear, it's very in the background, but this definitely will help to fill everything out. And then what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to do the same thing right here, except I'm not going to start it right there. I'm going to kind of delay it, maybe start it like right here. So it's not going to be exactly the same hit. You hear like just by itself, this is how it starts. And this is how this one's going to start. So it's just delayed a little bit. So it's not going to have quite as much noise at the very high end. It's not going to have quite as much power. So that's what I want. I wanted just a little bit of that. Moving right along, next order of business for me personally is a crowd noise. This is something that I've heard a lot of other producers using their tracks, and I like to use it in the background, just very, very subtle. It's definitely going to be something that you don't notice until it's gone. If it's just like stadium crowd noise, it's very loud right now. But just putting that in the background very, very subtly, make sure it's going through the side chaining and stuff like that. I think it's definitely going to help fill up some space. So right now, let's just turn it way down and let's EQ it a bit. Let's just make it very weak sounding. This is just very background stuff, and let's make sure the stereo is all good. Now a touch of verb. And right into the side chaining. Alright, now you see how low I have it? It's so small, but it just does so much in my opinion. And honestly, I think we could just leave it here. However, I'm going to add one more thing, and I think y'all know what I'm going to do. It's going to be an ARP. Actually, I may add 2 more things, but I'm going to figure it out. Actually, what I'm going to do is use this ARP right here, which will be out soon on a new Ghost Hack pack, but this is what it sounds like. And the good thing about this is that I don't have to waste a lot of memory or processing on actual MIDI. All I have to do is hold down a singular note. Alright, so I created the little art pattern that should follow kind of the melody of the rest of the drop. And it should go like that and just be able to repeat. I also don't have any ARP happening on this little drum fill. Alright, so I added a lot of EQing to really kind of weaken up the sound, make it not quite as strong. A little bit of multiband compression. I just left all the settings on normal, and it's routed through the side chaining. So it's very, very subtle. But this episode is all about the subtle layers and all the subtleties of, background things. All right, and the very last thing, actually this time, is going to be some kind of offbeat like synth or offbeat like melodic kind of hits. And I have this sample right here, which is like a reggae guitar kind of skank, which I think will work really well for what we're doing. It's not too powerful, it's not going to take up too much space, but it's definitely, you're going to be able to hear it in the background. It's not a synth, so this kind of guitar sound will, add some organicness to the rest of the very harsh synth elements in this track. I think what I'm actually going to do with this guitar skank, this is what it sounds like right now. I think what I want to do is when the main bass, like the main melodic bass is playing, I want to actually cut it off. Like I want it to not be playing. I think that kind of adds a little more melodic elements to the other part, like if there's no other melodic element playing right here. It'll just add a more melodic layer to the less melodic part, which will mix it together better. So let's turn down just a tad, and I think we'll be good. Alright, now I think that actually wraps it up for this part. This part was not too complicated. It was just doing some basic background layering. So what I'm going to do, just so you can hear the difference between the two, I'm going to play the whole thing how it was before, and then after we're going to play the whole thing that, we just made now. Alright, so here is the before version. And here is the after version. Alright, so that wraps up this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to be moving on to other parts, like the intro and the build-up in the next episodes of the series. We may add a little bit of things here and there, but I'm pretty much good with how this drop is sounding right now. I think it sounds pretty good, and I'm very happy with it. So as a general statement, I will say this drop is finished up, and we can move on to other parts of the dubstep track. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Happy producing.